Hello folks, so today I'm going to show you how to rebuild and replace the batteries in these SCR HR tags. These are the rumnation tags as well as the activity, and I'm not sure what generation they are, but I have replaced batteries in several different generations, and so far there's not a lot of difference in them. So I'm going to show you the process of them, what I've used over the past years, what seemed to work the best and what hasn't seemed to work, and step by step. So first off, I have a bandsaw. That's what I have in our shop. It seems for me to work the best, and I'll show you the process, what to avoid, different glue to use, different batteries, and so forth. So step one was start cutting them open, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the first step that I do is I always start on the right side. It's just me, because I have a system that way, and I start here and I just cut on this side, and then I cut on the top, this side, and then the bottom. A couple of things to note is on the top here, when you cut in, you can cut in, you just go directly all the way through that. There's nothing that you'll cut here, at least on the newer ones. Some of the real old ones have some things that you might hit, but that's on the older ones. These newer ones, you don't have to worry about that. The only other thing to worry about, don't go too deep, and especially on this side, on the left side here from the back, the wires that come to the back of the rumnation plate right here, there's 2 wires in there, so make sure you go as shallow as possible, and I'll show you those when I open it up. There we go. So yeah, they just follow the line around there. There's a little line there. Just follow the blade through there. And then next you just open it up. And so right there's the wires that I was talking about. So on the left side, you want to go as shallow as possible, and the wires will be right there. If you hit the wires, you can try to fix them. I've already just ignored it because it's for the rumnation. And then your collar just won't have rumnation. So it's not the end of the collar. It won't ruin it. If you hit the wires, you just won't have rumnation if you don't fix it. Okay, next step is to open the collars up. I usually like to have a flat screwdriver, hold it open with one hand and then just reach in, pop them open like that. And I just like to lay them in order. I usually like to do a dozen or so. It's more efficient that way to do a couple at a time. That way you have a system. Okay, and then next is I like to have clippers. This is a wire, electrical clippers. So on some of them you'll see that, so between that two there's some caulk and stuff that gets in the way. So I use my soldering iron and just heat that up a little bit so that you can get your wire clippers in there, and so that you don't have tear up anything else. On some of them, especially this one right here, we have some caulk that comes over to, I don't know what that thing's called, a capacitor of some sort. And so I make sure I heat that glue up now and not later, because sometimes when you go to clip that wire in there, that caulk will break that capacitor. I've broken those capacitors there, and I'm not sure what they do. These collars have worked without them, but of course it's better to have everything functioning in there. So if you do happen to break that, the collar will still work. So after I have that heated up, some of the caulk out of the way, I just go ahead and get my wire snippers and snip. I usually like to cut the ends of the wires there and leave, instead of soldering off of the board, I usually like to just solder the ends of the new ones together. Okay, now that we have the batteries all out, Next is to prepare to put the new batteries in. So as you can see there, we can't, there's not much of room there to solder to the wire. So I usually try to melt out the rest of this caulk, get all the caulk out of the way. Okay, and the batteries for the new ones, I just get the same batteries. And my experience has been to go with what's in there already. So I get, I'll put a link up of the batteries that I've got off of eBay. I think they are about $6 a piece, maybe $7. And they are a double, they're called a AA battery, I think, but they're a 3.6 volt, and they have with the LEDs on them. That's something that I think is very important. I've tried to do without the LEDs, and I've gotten batteries. I've gotten batteries like this that didn't have LEDs on them, and I have not had good luck with soldering on there. They're a lot cheaper, but it's not worth it, because if they come apart in the collar after you have them together, it's just not worth it. And so make sure you get the batteries with the LEDs, that way you don't have trouble on down the road. So with the new batteries and the LEDs, I usually just take the snippers and just leave on just a little bit on each end, clip off the new tails. And then you can see on the board, it says the plus and minus, so we just pop them back in. Let's do the other one right away. Okay, next let's make sure the tip is clean on the solder gun. So we got a wet cloth here. Then we take a little bit of solder. And then just connect two wires together. Okay, next is reinstalling. Put these rubber things back on. And then I like to put in one side first, the one without the wires, and then the wire side. It just fits right in. Good to go. Okay, now we're ready to glue. Right now, if you want to test them, just make sure they're working. Now would be a good time to take them out, hold them under a robot, make sure they read. Just an easy way to test them, make sure you did your soldering right. I've done this enough that they usually always work. So next is gluing. What I've used in the past is high quality caulk, and I've used this Gorilla epoxy. I've tried regular Gorilla glue. What's worked the best for me is a two-part epoxy of some sort, whether it's that or right now we are using this Bova Bond. It is for our block adhesive for cow feet, putting the blocks under cow's feet. It dries super fast and hard, and that's what's worked the best. If collars come apart after you have them on the cow, you're gonna lose the internals and everything. And so this is definitely a place where you want to use high quality caulk. So we have the gun right here, ready to go. Make sure you have some couple of C-clamps or something, and it wouldn't hurt to have two people. I'm going to try to do it myself. Just put a small bead of two-part epoxy around the outside, clamp it down, and let it dry for a while. I try to keep the wires out and just drag some through there with my finger. Start on that side, try to get lined up, and push it down, and then get your clamp. Clamp it and set it down and go to the next one. Okay, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it.
and hope you learned something. I realize that there are different ways of doing it, different ways of opening them up. I've heard of people cooking them to where you can just pull apart the casing. I would like to see how people do that exactly, and if there's other glue that you use that works better, that would also be interesting to hear. Feel free to comment below, and if there's other videos you want to see, I've rebuilt lasers that have leaked moisture into them and had good success with that. If you'd like to see a video of that, feel free to comment down below. Also, pulsators, I've rebuilt the pulsators. Our dealer is like 4 hours away, so that's why I do a lot of the work myself. So any other videos you want to see, feel free to comment, and I'll try to get them posted as soon as possible. And thanks for watching.